Yeah, I would drive around and have 30, 40 pounds of weed, something, whatever, doesn't matter. Like I wouldn't worry. As long as I'm going the speed limit, for sure I'm going to be fine.
Hi everyone. Today's episode, we're going to continue the theme that we had on our last show, which is having some one-on-one conversations with our experiences with marijuana and some situations that we've had with the police, how our encounters tend to vary largely based on different factors, based on where we live. Some can say the color of our skin. And today that's what we're here to talk about and continue that conversation going. So I have my good friend Ted Sieving here, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about what he went through with marijuana and the police.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, unfortunately, I've had a couple interactions with the police involving marijuana over the years. I used to live in some places where it was not legal. And
where was that?
Well, at the time, it was not legal in Michigan when I was growing up. It's now, it's the laws have changed. And then Georgia as well. I was there for law school, and right before I graduated law school, I actually got a ticket for a small, literally like a couple grams of marijuana, and in Georgia it was pretty serious, even though it was a tiny amount, and even though I was white, they were still they didn't charge me with a felony or anything, but I was lucky in the sense that they didn't take me to jail for it either. I played nice with the police officer. I knew. I heard what he said. He said he insisted on searching the car. I did not give him permission. We made that very clear. He said he insisted on searching the car, and then basically at that point, he said, if I find something, I'm going to take you to jail, but if you tell me where it is, I won't. And I realized, well, look, if he's insisting on searching the car, he's going to find it. It was not well hidden. It was right in the center console, and it was just a tiny amount, like I said. So I just told him, I said, yeah, there's a little bit there. And he gave me this ticket, which, like I said, it was still a serious issue. And because I was in law school, the State Bar of California actually ended up giving me a hard time about it, even though it was only a misdemeanor. And I told them, look, I have a genetic muscle disease. I have a prescription now for marijuana from a doctor here in California, and it's legal for me to use it. So I'm clearly not going to be getting another ticket for it. But that was really unfortunate. But like I said, I was lucky to not go to jail for it. And then I also had another time, though, where I was not so lucky. And that was in the state of Texas. I went on a road trip with a couple friends, one who I would later then have as a law partner eventually. He went to Texas A&M, and so we were driving out there to see this huge football game between Texas A&M and Alabama. It was the biggest game of the year a couple of years ago, and so the three of us went out there, and in the middle of the night, I was asleep in the back of the car. My friend was driving, and we're in Texas in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's a border checkpoint, and this border checkpoint is not at the border. This is just, we weren't crossing from Mexico, and it wasn't at the border between states, but it was like a secondary border checkpoint. And so I woke up right as we were pulling into this thing, and then a drug dog jumped up on the car, and they searched the car and found this little, again, I had just this little bit of weed, and I had a little bit of like some hash crystal stuff that they tried to say was hash, and I said was keef, knowing that if it's hash, they'll charge me with something more serious. If it's keef, I said, no, this is just the leftover, crystals. Yeah, it was not good, because they wrote down 0.01 grams. Like there was dust in there, and they were trying to charge me with a felony eventually. But so I said it was all mine, and my friends were able to not go to jail with me. And then which was nice. My friend that was driving, he was black and had dreads at the time, and my other friend was Asian, and then but it was my car, and so I knew no matter what, I was going to be going down some way, shape, or form, because I wasn't going to deny that I knew it was in there, and so I said, it was mine. And I went to this jail, and I'm just like thinking, what in the hell is this, and I found out that this jail, I'm in the same jail cell that like Snoop Dogg has been in, and like all these other artists, all these famous people, because as they're touring, this random border checkpoint is in the middle. It's not at a border, and so they nail people randomly. And these tour buses, that a lot of times have weed. And so Willie Nelson had been in the same jail cell, and like all this, because it's literally, this town exists for the sole purpose of, there's a jail to house people that get arrested from the courthouse or from the border checkpoint. And they even told me they don't like it anymore because they lose money, because the border, like ICE takes all the big cases and all the low level cases go to them, which they lose money on because people don't come back for trial or don't pay their fines or whatever else. Yeah, so I was in jail and I had to fly back to Texas and deal with it. I got charged with stuff. They dropped this, they tried to charge me with a felony for the little bit of this hash crystal, key thing, but I ended up having, on both of these occasions, I had misdemeanor marijuana charges that I ended up pleading no contest to and paying a fine. So in these cases, it could have been a lot worse, but it also, it was more of a monetary inconvenience than anything else. However, there was also the State Bar of California giving me a little bit of a hard time about stuff. And when I actually first became a lawyer, they put me in a program and they forced me to stop smoking marijuana, basically, to get my license. Even though I had doctor's recommendation to do it, and I have this genetic muscle disease. And it's California where weed is now fully legal, but at the time was medically legal, and I had the medical recommendation, but they wanted me to like prove that I didn't have some sort of addiction to it. So they put me in a program where they drug tested me and forced me to stop taking it. And I said, look, I understand the law license is a privilege, not a right, but you're not doctors. Like, why are you telling me not to do this when this is not affecting my ability to practice law? This is not hurting anyone around me or myself, other than the fact that I've gotten in trouble for having it on me and had to pay money. That's not, I haven't gotten in a car accident or something or done something else while I'm high, and they insisted on it. And so I told them, look, if something happens to me, if my muscle disease comes back while I'm not smoking weed, because basically it's an autoimmune disorder, and the marijuana helps keep my autoimmune disorder like calm. It reduces inflammation and other stress so that my immune system doesn't flare up. I was like, if anything happens to me, I'm gonna sue the shit out of you guys. You're making a medical decision that you should not be. But I feel that I've been lucky, because there's a lot of stuff that I did that I could have gotten in trouble for. Well, that was funny. Sorry. Right on cue.
The cops are coming.
Yes. There's a lot of stuff I did back in the day with marijuana where I could have gotten in trouble. Back in college, I was in Michigan. We were near the country of Canada, and so we had great weed coming across the border, and there were some wild times. Bootlegging was a thing back in the day with alcohol, and same thing with weed for a bunch of people. It was fun, and it was very low risk. I've had people tell me that as a white guy with glasses, and for a long time I drove a Prius, they said, as a white guy with glasses in a Prius, you're basically invisible to the police. And
oh my God.
It's true. I used to have this Honda Accord, and yeah, I would drive around and have 30, 40 pounds of weed, something, whatever, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't worry. As long as I'm going the speed limit, for sure I'm going to be fine. And it was, so thank God that I have. Well, and that's what I would tell myself too when I got in trouble for these things is, well, look, I got pulled over and I had 2 grams of weed on me. Back in the day, I was really doing something that could have gotten me in trouble, and I never got in any kind of trouble. So, all right, I'll take this one, fair enough, So, yeah, I feel very blessed to be here now and be on the right path. As you know, God had a spiritual intervention for me last last year during COVID, and so I have changed my life in many ways, and it's been a great ride since then. But yeah, back in the day, did some wild things that luckily I survived and learned from.
Sounds like you kind of coasted through these charges.
To some degree. I mean, like I said in the outtake about it's hard to sit up straight in a chair that reclines. I was able to kind of coast through these things in a routine way in terms of, now both times it was a small amount of marijuana, although in Texas, wow, that's so dramatic. In Texas, I did have that tiny bit of the other, the little hash crystal keef thing that they wanted to charge me with a felony with, but yeah,
And what year was that?
That was about 2014, maybe. Yeah.
In Texas. Yeah, Texas, it's still not legal there. They're one of the last states to really accept that cannabis needs to be legalized. And yeah, I've heard so many stories about artists getting pulled over and getting the book thrown at them, and Texas trying to make an example out of rappers. They know they're going to pull over. They know on the tour bus they're going to have cannabis. And then the rappers pay their fine and move along their way, and that could be one of the reasons that they aren't legalizing it, is because they're profiting that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, this town, I think originally they thought it was cool, right? But later, as I talked to the prosecutors and people involved, they've come to hate it because they end up losing money over time. They thought they were getting this cash cow of just, we'll get all these people coming through our court system and we'll get all these fines. Well, guess what? Most people don't pay their fines, turns out. And so, it's not such a good deal. But they are responsible for these people, and there's this little jail, and it's just in the middle of nowhere, West Texas. It's really depressing. But they're a very control-oriented state. As they're doing the crazy abortion law right now. And it's for people that supposedly believe in free will and Jesus and God to want to control women's bodies is pretty crazy, because God's greatest gift is free will, and they want to take it away from people. So it's really, really unfortunate, but hopefully Texas will eventually get its shit together.
Thank you for sharing your story, and I'm so happy that you're able to practice law here in California. You're a great lawyer. You've really gave me some great advice on a few of my businesses, and I so appreciate it. So I think that I'm so happy that marijuana never hindered your career at all. And thankful.
Did not. It slowed it down a little bit. I had to jump through a bunch of hoops, but that's life, jumping through hoops. And a lot of times I avoid them. Every once in a while, I get caught up in the system for a minute and have to jump through some hoops, but otherwise I've been pretty free, so can't complain.
Yeah, and we encourage everyone to obey the law.
Of course.
We're doing what we can to help legalize cannabis throughout the United States. Every state is a case-by-case thing. As you can see, Texas is behind. Arizona finally caught up. California is paving the way. Let us know where you live at and how the laws are affecting you, and
let's change them.
Yeah, let's just keep working together to make sure it gets federally legalized. If tobacco is legalized, which I heard soon Marble is going to be integrating hemp and
of course,
and pulling out the tobacco. They're going to start doing a slow change. I read that somewhere, because tobacco is so bad for you. Like smoking cigarettes, we do not condone.
And everything they add to it is also, humans have smoked tobacco for tens of thousands of years, but not with rat poison and other preservatives and whatever other cancer-causing things sprinkled and sprayed onto it to preserve it so that you can ship it all over the place and make it really cheaply and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. So we want to use this plant in the best way possible and to enhance and enrich our lives. And we want to know what your experience has been with marijuana. Let us know. Follow us on Instagram, and if you care to join our cause, send us a Cash App, a $UCC Club. Check out our Patreon. You can grab a shirt, get some cool merch, and get some behind-the-scenes content that's not published anywhere else. All right, this has been another episode of United Cannabis Club. We'll see you guys next time.